welcome to Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris once again. This is the best college podcast. Oh, I hope someday will be the best college podcast where we explore big questions about education, careers, and the future. But most importantly, this is the show that is empowering minds one episode at a time. I am your host, Professor Chris. Today's topic is going to be college, guns, and campus safety. But before we get into that, I've stopped doing resume. Our guest today, I almost asked him to send me his resume, and I said, you know what? I've seen him work. I've seen him go to work. So what do I see in my guest today? So I'm going off resume. I'm just going by his attributes and what he does best. Our special guest today is an enforcer of security. He is a person that truly cares. He is a teacher. He's a leader. He is a first assist, literally first response. He is the eyes of all eyes, but he's not God, though. He's the eyes of all eyes because he's always watching over us. He's selfless, and he's a selfless being. He puts himself first on the line. But most importantly, my guest today's first pride and foremost is safety. Please help me in welcoming Chief Walker.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
Good. Yes, sir.
So usually my introduction, I also do it in the motherland way. I welcome my guest. That's why this drum is here. This is how I welcome my guests.
Yes, sir.
With your permission, I'm going to keep my hat on, but I take my hat off to you. By the way, behind the screens, students today is Chief Darrell, who almost everything I talked about Chief Walker, he exemplifies that as well.
Exactly.
You're not going to get to see him today. Maybe we'll get him back in his chair here someday. But it is my pleasure for both of you being here. Thank you all for the service that you all do for our community, our institution, and our whole area.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Chief Walker, seriously, how are you doing?
Good. Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
As you see the introduction, I didn't want to talk about your resume, and I'm going to ask you to tell me and my students a little bit about yourself, but I do it in a different way.
Okay.
You know, when we're growing up, the question was, what do you want to do when you grow up? My question to you is, what you're doing today, is that what you plan on doing when you were a little boy?
In short answer is yes. I've always wanted to, in some form or fashion, be in law enforcement. Exactly where I am today is what I wanted out of it. As much as I liked the police officer on the street and calls of service and traffic stops, as much as that, I wanted to be in a leadership role and be able to teach and instruct, because I was seeing a lot of things happening, and I said, if I ever get in the field, I want to get to a point to where I can help affect some of the change, write some of the policies, really train new officers who are coming out. And he'll tell you, we put a lot of emphasis on training new officers to come in, making sure they aren't picking up bad habits, and really making a lot of the problems we're seeing in society now with law enforcement and the community, magnifying them. We want to really fix a lot of those issues. So, yeah.
So, students, if you've been watching the show, you do realize almost all my guests, when they come in here and ask them the same question, is this what you always wanted to do when you grow up? Just like myself. Where I am today, I'm very happy to be here. That's not how I started off. I remember once I wanted to be a police officer, but it was just the opportunity to carry a gun.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons most of the young men want to get into reinforcement. I will talk more about that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so before we get into this topic here, it's a very, very serious topic. I want to make a couple of things clear here. What we are about to share is going to be our personal opinions, same as Chief Darrell behind the camera if you want us to share anything. This is not a podcast to make it all about politics. We're not trying to change anybody's mind. It's about safety first and foremost. I don't know if we're going to agree on everything that we talk about here today, but we are going to agree to disagree.
Yes, sir.
Right?
No problem.
So I just want to put that disclaimer out there.
That's good.
Once again, our topic for today is college, guns, and campus safety. So, I'll be honest with you, Chief Walker. I've done and I've dealt with all the different college topics. Last week, we did drugs. Yeah, my co-host and I, and that's what we did. But what keeps me up at night is not whether or not the students are doing drugs or not doing drugs.
Yeah.
What we're about to talk today
Yeah.
is what keeps me up at night.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe you can help us. How do we see it coming? You never see it coming. It happens. So that's why this is really a hot topic. And as I mentioned, last year, a year, I believe, from last week was Chapel Hill's
Chapel
incident.
Hill, yeah.
And then after that, 1 year was on the news everywhere, and all the parents, by the way, who also watch this podcast, everybody's asking, when are you going to do gun violence on the campus? We care about our children, what's happening. I said, you know what? This is not a topic I could do by myself. Let me reach out to Chief Walker. And lo and behold, you didn't say no. You were like, I will be here. So thank you once again for coming. All right. I know you're probably going to talk about this here, but I just pulled a couple of statistics here on guns. And to my surprise, since 1966, there has been 13 shootings at colleges where more than 3 people were killed.
Right.
I didn't know 1966 till in the 90s when I was, in college and getting ready for grad school. I didn't even know about gun shootings or anything like that on campus until Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So Virginia Tech happened 2007. And one of the things I'm also going to ask you about is I was reading very quickly about the Virginia Tech situation. And in there it says, despite federal laws prohibiting gun purchase of firearms in Virginia, this shooter was still able to go to 2 licensed dealers after background checks. I'm sure you're going to touch on that. But once again, for all the parents that were requesting this topic, we're going to be talking about college, guns, and campus safety. So those are some of the statistics that I want to put on there. I say 1 life is too many.
Too many.
Right? It's
Yes,
too
sir.
many. 1 life is too many. Okay. Okay. So Chief Walker, get us started. As I mentioned, 2007 is when I thought, okay, we got to do something. But give us a little background about when gun regulations on campuses even started.
Okay, and you mentioned 2 of the ones I was going to bring up. Ohio, Virginia Tech, 2007 happened. So the Ohio shooting, 1966 is when that started. We actually see regulations in the statutes back in the late 1900s, to where there was already been policies being developed about guns being on campuses. So just like, and I believe that's one of the things, we really start paying attention to gun violence on campuses when it's really big. But to see that the regulations started in the late 1900s, stuff has been going on.
Right.
It just hasn't made mainstream media like it would today. So when we talk about Ohio, a lot of those situations, those shootings, happen in times where, and we see that a lot now, our focus is on other things. Yeah. If something was to happen now, we got a lot of, elections is going on, a lot of things we aren't paying a whole lot of attention to other things. Something may have happened today at some college. Somebody came in and, we had issues on our campus today that we had to kind of not quite gun violence, but we did have to kind of pay attention to it. So I think things are happening all the time.
Okay.
They're happening all the time. Whether it makes the news, that's a whole nother thing. But we have to make sure every day we're conscious of safety issues. We're dealing with them. We'll address them, and some of them we're able to mitigate before it gets to that point. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So the question I've always asked, and especially reading the whole Virginia Tech thing, and it says federal. Help us a little bit to understand that just because it's a federal law, we can mandate it on campus. How does the regulations? Yes.
So here's a neat one I like bringing up.
Right.
So there's a statute for North Carolina: no weapons on campus.
Okay.
And when you initially read that, you think, okay, no weapons whatsoever. And it goes into definitions of what a weapon is: daggers, knuckles, all these different things that you're not supposed to have on campus.
Didn't even think about that. I'm all just thinking about guns.
Right, just guns.
Yeah, right.
But then in the same statute, later on, there are caveats for weapons being present on the campus because of concealed carry. And we'll talk about that. Even though concealed carry, you're allowed to have it, the statute is very emphatic in saying it needs to be in a locked box once you reach the campus. And we're noticing, if you carry concealed, you're leaving the house, you're getting in your car, you're sitting in traffic for however long, you're getting on campus, you have the weapon on you or in your car visible so you can access it if you needed to. But then they're getting out of the car,
Right.
they're late for class, not paying attention, leaving it, and it's sitting there. Or it doesn't get in that lock box the way it should.
Right.
We've had an issue a few years ago. A gentleman was in class with his weapon on because he's concealed carry. That was the excuse. I'm late.
Yes.
I'm running late. I think we were in the tech building. He was sitting in class, and his shirt kind of displayed it a little bit, and that's why we were notified and. We had to go through the whole thing. But even though the statute says stuff, there's always caveats somewhere for something that brings allowances.
Right.
And then people who are not training as they should with their concealed weapon, those who aren't making those safety precautions, aren't securing it the way they're supposed to, those weapons are now on campus.
Okay. Chief Walker, you got to excuse my ignorance when it comes to guns because I don't carry, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this all the time, concealed, concealed. Basically, when you say concealed, meaning you have the permission to carry, correct?
Right. So
okay.
You have the permission to carry. North Carolina is an open carry state. Okay. So if you were able to purchase a handgun, you can walk around the street, grocery stores everywhere. It has to be seen. It has to be visible. Really? The moment you cover it up, it's now concealed. Oh. If it's in your car and you can't see it, it's concealed. If it's on your person, you're wearing it, and it's not visible, it's considered concealed. Yes, sir. Yeah. Considered concealed, yeah.
I think I'm going to be learning all about guns today.
Yeah.
Okay, so North Carolina, I have to remember that. How many states do you think?
It's quite a few.
Yeah.
It's quite a few that's open carry, yeah. And you have the weapon, you can, and you're probably not paying a lot of attention to it, but people will go in grocery stores. Yeah. And again, there are some caveats for where you can go.
Right.
You should not go in places where you're going to consume alcohol. Okay. You're going to, there's some caveats for why you can't. But it's open state. You can carry it as long as it's visible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who can carry and who can't carry? Is there age limits?
So the good thing is, and we can kind of touch on this about the regulations and how people are able to get access to them. In most cases, you have to go through the sheriff's department in the county where you reside. You fill out an application. I'm a police officer, and I still had to do the application. I had to do a class. Well, I had to account for a class. They make sure you've gone through some gun safety class. Once you've done that, you've done the application, you pay your fee. The sheriff then issues after they've done a background check. So yes, you meet an age requirement, you meet a training requirement, you meet a background check from the sheriff's department. And once those things are accomplished, then the sheriffs will issue the concealed carry.
As we're talking about this here, I'm trying to see which rules or laws controls the other. So North Carolina, if we're using North Carolina as an example, you can carry. Where do we draw the line? What about our campus? If our campus says you can't bring guns on campus, does that overrule the North Carolina law?
Well, and see, the law is, and that's those caveats.
Right.
That, yes, you can carry it, but there are places you can't.
Okay.
So federal buildings, campuses, some of your live events where there is freedom of speech. We're seeing a lot of it now. Freedom of speech, picketing, those type of things. So there are a lot of places, even though you are allowed to carry it, you can't carry it in those.
Okay.
And even if a business has it posted
Right.
where no guns allowed,
Right.
you shouldn't go in there with it. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure people
Oof.
undermine that and cover it
Yes.
up because I have a
Okay.
concealed
Okay.
and still go in the restaurant anyway. But if it's posted
Yeah.
and you get caught, you could get in trouble
Okay.
for having it if it's posted.
You
Yeah.
just saved me. I was about to put in my letter of resignation tomorrow saying I'm not going to come on campus.
Yeah.
So basically, on our campus, it's not allowed.
No.
Okay.
No campus.
No campus.
That's
Okay.
the statute
Okay.
actually says, chapter
Right.
14,
Right.
on educational property.
Right.
And then there are defining things about what an educational property is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There should not be any weapons,
Right.
again,
Yes.
aside from concealed carry.
Correct.
And if you're have your concealed carry,
Right.
it has to be in a lock box in your car.
Okay.
It should not be on you.
Okay.
And it can't be visible in the car if
Right.
we were walking through the parking lot and patrolling those things. Yeah.
I guess it makes sense then. So then, if I see someone on campus with a gun,
Yeah.
I'm calling. I gotta
See something,
report
say
because
something.
It's not allowed.
Yes, not allowed.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are some of the challenges that we're gonna face? It doesn't have to be on campus,
Mm-hmm.
but across campuses on managing gun safety.
Concealed carry
Okay.
is going to be a big thing because we're seeing that. And I'm trying to think, the guns we have gotten off of Durham Tech's campus.
Right.
One I can remember was actually on the person, and they were in a building coming out. They ended up brandishing it. People called.
That was a person that said they were running.
No,
late.
this was somebody else.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes, somebody
Okay.
else. So the sad thing is they're there.
Yes.
They're there. It's sad, but they're on campus.
Right.
We just got to make sure we're doing our part to facilitate, and we'll talk about how we can help do that.
Okay.
But concealed carry, people carrying it, and the statement we get a lot of times with someone who is bold enough to have a weapon on them, with no license to carry, no concealed carry,
Really?
is because they carry it to protect themselves. So we're dealing with some cultural issues
Yes.
and some community issues outside of the campus that are
Right.
filtering onto the campus.
Okay.
And I think
So-
the two we've gotten
Yeah.
have been that way. I have it to
Right.
protect myself. Yeah.
Okay, so how? Boy, this is this is great. What protects that person who says, or what's the permission that that person needs to get to say, I'm carrying this to protect myself?
Yeah, we can't go by law, not as law enforcement.
Right.
I mean, automatically you violated the law. You got a weapon on campus.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to address that.
Okay.
The fact that you need to protect yourself, there may be some resources or things we can do to maybe help sometimes, and then
Right.
other times it's just we can't
Yeah.
help what you've done prior to coming to campus that have gotten yourself in this situation to where now you feel like you need to carry it, and that a lot of issues, and that is a challenge.
Right.
So the concealed carry, people feeling like they need to protect themselves, and then just we are seeing a lot of filter over, especially with open campuses, that that people may not know
Right.
that guns aren't allowed on the educational property.
Yeah.
They just don't know. The law says that, so they are open campus. You just come on. You happen to be going to register and happen to be going to do various things.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be as much as blatant. I know this is illegal. Let me do it. It's more cultural problems, concealed carry. Oh, I forgot,
Right.
or in my car, I didn't take it off me before I came in. Yeah, I think it's just a number of those, and we just got to do as much as we can to kind of filter through.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight or if it's gotten worse, but we'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had, and I'll start with myself, I think the closest close call that I've had was when I was back in Florida. It just so happened that morning I went to the gym, and somebody from the gym said, "Did you hear?" I'm like, "Did I hear what?" It's like a student on campus was planning on going around just shoot people. Unfortunately for him, his roommate saw it, reported it, so he took his own life before.
Wow.
Yes. Again, that was the closest that I've come to, any situations, besides the fact that there were people who just wanted do themselves in, you know, that happened. But so far as, you know, I'm going around just to shoot up the place, that was the closest call that I've kind of had. Any close calls you both had?
And he probably has, because he's worked some municipal departments. On campus, any gun on campus is a close call for us. Any gun.
Right.
So the student that had it on him
Right.
in the cafeteria area, showing it to people, could have gone terribly wrong.
Right.
The gentleman that had it in his book bag, it is not in a holster, placed in there. It was loaded, rounds in the chamber. It's in your book bag, just loosely could have gone
Right.
terribly wrong. So, yeah, I equate all of those to close calls, because at any moment those could have went completely south and been very, 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 very bad.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's get into. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here when it comes to guns. From your perspective, there's been a lot of arguments on allowing guns or not to allow guns. I want to hear your opinion. And you could do it both ways too.
Okay.
And you can say, maybe I think about allowing it. Here's my reasons, but I also don't think it's
So, in my opinion, I don't think they should be allowed.
Okay.
And I'll give you this, and he can probably attest to this.
Sure.
So, police officers, we are mandated to qualify once a year with our firearm. Once a year.
Please explain that. Yes.
So every year,
Right.
we have to go to the range and we have to qualify with our weapons.
Okay.
You know, we go through a qualification course. It's a static course.
Yeah.
Now we're learning to create the stress and kind of create that, because we've understanding the tunnel vision. During those times, we were seeing in a lot of instances where law enforcement were coming in contact and having to deal with the threat, they were firing their weapons several times and not hitting their targets. So that's once a year qualifying.
Wow.
And then you have those who are dialed in who will go more than that. But you think about your average concealed carry
Yes.
holder
Right.
never goes to train with their weapon.
No. No.
So if they never go train with their weapon, I'm just saying, if you put that weapon in the hand of a teacher who is teaching Monday through Friday and doesn't have a chance to go to the range once, twice, 3 times, 4 times a month to train with their weapon, and if they aren't training in high stress situations, the first thing that goes in those high stress situations are motor skills. So your ability to reach for the weapon, get it out of the holster in a timely fashion, sight alignment, sight picture, breathing, and hit the target the way it's supposed to, you're not going to have that consistency. And knowing that you're not going to have that consistency, I wouldn't want
Yes.
15, 16, 17, 20, 30 extra guns on campus where that's happening, because we who are qualified with it and getting shots on target, and someone who is not doing it in a high stress situation with somebody shooting back at you. And now everybody concealed carry. We want high caliber guns and 357s, and we want all these things, and don't understand the bullet might keep going.
Right.
So if you're not hitting your target, now you have other people in and around them who aren't. In order for that to happen, I would like the requirement for anybody carrying it to go through extensive training to be able to handle that. And I don't think that would be able to be,
Okay.
you know.
Help me out, Chief Walker.
Mm-hmm.
What you're telling me is, if I qualify to get a gun, and I have a gun, once I get it, I'm not mandated
No.
to go every year to...
No.
Once I have
If
it,
you get a
that's it.
concealed carry with the
Yes.
state of North Carolina, there is no requirement for you to go get training every year. We do as law enforcement. But once you get your concealed carry, you can have... Now, you're renewing that concealed carry. You know, the sheriff might... Okay, a class, but you have done one class. And that concealed carry class is a familiarization.
Right.
Here's your gun. This is the cycle of operation. This is how it works. A good concealed carry instructor will take you to a range and let you actually fire rounds. Many people who have never fired guns before, but they'll qualify that one day. They're now allowed to carry concealed, and they may never, now, you know, may never go train again. There is no mandate for you to have to train every year. Yes.
Whew.
That and that alone, I would
Yes.
probably wouldn't want extra weapons on campus.
Chief Walker. We should have probably done this interview way back when, so people understand, because I have no idea. Again, I don't carry. I have friends, you know, and I've had it all. You know, I have friends who like, well, you know, it's stupid people who kill. It's not, you know, it's not a gun, and I've had it all. I just never been able to bring myself, you know, to that, even for protection, you know, what have you, for all the reasons one should have it. And again, this is not a discussion we're trying to have here. We're trying to have on-campus situations, but that is very, very great information you just shared here, and I have no idea that you just. Okay, so help me out. If I want to get a gun today, I go to a gun shop. What do I do in order to qualify to get a gun?
Meet the age requirement. Right now, you can purchase. You
Yes.
reach, you know, you're 18, you're 21, your rifle, your handgun, you reach those ages.
Yeah.
You go in Academy Sports, you fill out your application, they're going to run a background check.
Right.
As long as nothing comes back from the background check, you pay your money and you can walk out with the gun.
Hold up. I get a gun. There is nothing that says go to the shooting range, go practice, make sure you can effectively use it before you.
Not for a purchase. No, sir. Not for a purchase. Not for a purchase.
That's scary.
Now, if you want to move to a concealed carry, yes. Most sheriffs, they will require that you have some type of training, some type of class,
Right.
saying that you've had familiarization with a firearm before you're allowed to carry concealed. But to go walk in a store right now with the money in your hand and you are of age, you could purchase right now. Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe now you can help me calm down a little bit. What are some of the safety protocols we have on campus, across campuses, for guns? What should we be doing? What?
So currently, aside from, you know, making sure the officers are there, and we are trying to adamantly teach what to look for. As far, and we talked about some of this in Alice class,
Correct.
you know, to see a shirt pulled down and you kind of, a shirt is supposed to sit a certain way, and to see something kind of sitting, bulging out of a shirt. And not just that, every active shooter who went in the building was 90% of the time seen going in the building. Or once in the building, they were seen in the stairwell. Parkland, they were seen in the stairwell. Somebody did go respond. But if we're seeing it, we need to make sure we're responding. So we push that a lot. If you see anything strange, make sure you call us and contact us so that we can look into it. Currently, we've had cameras installed. I'm a huge proponent of AI technology for that. So we're working on getting gun detection software installed also with our cameras. That would allow us that if somebody inside a building actually showed a gun, the camera would pick it up and give us immediate notification. So technology, see something, say something. The officers being trained to recognize it. It's a culmination of several things we're trying to do to really,
See something, say something, because I'm on the lookout now.
Yes, sir.
Are we talking? I see 911. I'm calling.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes. And now there's hotlines there. I've actually early in the year, a student did it through the See Something, Say Something anonymous, and it comes right to me. So, and you'd be amazed. We talked about this in Alice class too. You'll be amazed how you see stuff strange and you just kind of, you know. And it's 90 degrees outside, long coat. Could somebody have a long? They could.
Right.
But it does not hurt us to go,
Yeah.
go check and investigate. I think a lot of times we think, oh, that's nothing. I'm just not going to bother them. Yeah, that's why we're there. We're there to be bothered. If you see something and it don't look quite right, just let us know.
Since you've mentioned Alice, could you explain what Alice is?
Yes, so alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. It's our active shooter protocol that we use at Durham Tech. All of those elements can be used. They don't have to be used in order. Okay. If you find yourself in a building in a situation where you're hearing gunshots and you can get out, then evacuate. You don't have to go lock yourself in and barricade and go through these steps. What we do make sure is that whatever step is being, you have thought that process out. I mean, we talk something as simple as where you're parking.
Right.
If you're in building A and you know you park near Z, you may want to think about some other things having to navigate and get to those areas. Yeah,
Okay.
but it's
Run us through that. Alice against slurs.
alert. So it talks about how I'm being alerted that a problem has happened.
Okay.
In some schools, it could be the public address system, and sometimes it's just the sound of gunshot that you're hearing. That's the only alert you're getting. There is no mass notification text. You aren't getting a lot of that information. Once that happens, depend on where you are in the building. Teachers who are in a classroom, you may need to lock down. And we are learning more and more about lockdown. We have a lot of juveniles on campus, so we're learning a lot about Durham Public Schools' influence on us and what a lockdown is and what a shelter is. And the lockdown could entail barricading yourself in a classroom, pushing desks, everything in front of the door so that assailant wouldn't be able to get in. And we go over a lot of that stuff. Inform, now that you're in the classroom, in the closet, in the bathroom, wherever your hiding spot is, now it's time to get the information out to everybody else. Something is going on on campus. C is counter. It's one of the things a lot of times we leave out of active shooter situations. We learned a lot during Columbine, that we saw a lot of victims because we had been trained for a long time to go in a room, hide, get under desks, and not do anything. And the shooters were able to access those areas, and then you have more victims. So the counter element is using, we call them tools of counter. Anything around you that could be used to break that shooter's thought process of what they're trying to do. We talk about what it's required to fire a gun, and if something is thrown at you, you automatically do this. It's that startle flinch. And those moments when that happened allows us to now swarm and be able to possibly minimize. And then evacuate. If you have the means to evacuate, you definitely want to do that. And the thing about evacuate is important. Like you said, if you know, as far as where you park and how you navigate campus and all those different things, you have to think about that prior to, before you just say, "Oh, come evacuate." When we had a couple issues on campus, that our main road gets locked down fast. So you may have intentions and want to leave, but that road is now blocked off. You can't leave. You're kind of in a situation where you got to make another decision. So,
Chief Walker. Wow. No, this has been great. Where are we headed? Where do you think we're headed when it comes to campus? Because I know people, I'm always going to be, don't allow it on campus, but I also see the pushback. Where do you think we're headed? Where do you think?
So I think we're going to see a number of things. I think we're going to see some states allowing it. I hope that allowance doesn't open up a lot of these issues. And there may be some caveats where there's an allowance and a requirement for training, and it may work perfectly. There may be. Active shooter situations has caused so much change in policy over the years with how we outfit our buildings with locks and certain type of locks, how we outfit our building with technology, access control, and cameras and all those things. I think we're going to continue to see an advance in all of those issues. AI is huge right now on college campuses. The ability to be able to, when I don't have a body to sit in front of a camera, the AI is going to be able to alert me and notify me and tell me everything that I need to know about what's going on in the building. So I think we're going to see a lot. There's going to be some allowances. Some places are not going to allow it. You're going to see a lot of technology is going to come forth. I think that's really going to help us improve. And one thing we're learning about technology even now, it's going to work sometimes, and then it may not work. So we're having to implement the technology, trust that it's going to work, but at the same time, make sure the people are trained the way they need to be to help, and that the community is also seeing something and saying something, so we can definitely see them before they enter the buildings as they're pulling up. So I think it's going to be a culmination of things we got to continue to do them, but it'll be some advancements and some challenges.
Chief Walker, the day I hear that it's allowed, I'm retiring.
I think it's going to be challenging.
Yes.
I think it'll present a lot of challenges,
Right.
especially if there's no training requirement.
yes.
Yeah, a training is going to be very, very important,
Right.
especially in high stress situations. We're seeing that yearly on the range with police officers. When you're trying to raise scores and qualification scores, when you raise that stress and they can't get it out the holster,
Right.
or you raise that stress and now they're not hitting the intended target the way, it's definitely training is going to be a must.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be funny, but every time I hear allow it, I kind of see almost like a West Side Story where shooters got one, teachers are pulling guns. It's
Yeah.
like this is
Yeah.
like West Side Story, right?
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a bloodbath. That's
Right.
kind of the way I think about it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not gonna take any more of your time because you shared so much that I'm either gonna be sleeping well tonight or I'm gonna be losing sleep. I don't know, but we'll see. Please, 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 before we close here, what advice do you have? And I know we've talked about this here, but maybe we'll hit a point home again. What advice do you have for faculty, staff, and students?
So one thing I like that we're doing, I think it's going to be vitally important to advocate for training on your campuses.
And you're talking training for alerts, and if we're going to be carrying training.
Well, training, yes, Alice, like we did
Okay.
for active shooter training,
Okay.
all the way to the point also of testing faculty and staff through tabletop exercises. Those are great ways to get all the decision makers at a table, walk through a scenario, and be able to see what would we currently do if something happens. And you learn a lot from those exercises, what you currently have in place, what you don't, what you need to work on, all those things, and advocate for each department. We're in campus operations, so it's campus police, facility service, IT, all of those areas that get hit hard with cybersecurity, a lot of different things. Getting those groups together and really prioritizing strengths and weaknesses, and the students in the class, the teachers in the class advocating for training. Train us, make sure we know what to do. We do a lot of fire drills. We do a lot of those, but not enough training for these type of scenarios. Where to go, where are the evacuation points, how do I secure my room?
Right.
Being able to walk through that stuff initially in a lecture setting, kind of like we do with Alice, but then at some point actually being able to test it with tabletop exercises, being able to walk through it. I think that's going to be really, really important. The more confident people are in their plans, when a situation happens, that muscle memory kicks in and they'll know exactly what to do. That teacher will go lock the door before they even realize it. They will have the students in the corner. They'll have the door secure. They've already notified campus police. Muscle memory will kick in, and there's not a lot of yelling and screaming. We don't know what to do. Nope, we have a plan. We've trained for this. We've practiced this. We know exactly what to do. And you do that, the classroom will be way more confident. Yeah, way more confident.
Thank you, Chief Walker.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Chief Darrell.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
this
you.
is,
Thank you.
I've done many shows. Like I said, this is the one that, really I lose sleep over. Thank you all for sharing. This is great, great, great. I'm going to really push this hard to all the parents. One of the things, to close this out, please, 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 students, you see something, and I know sometimes it can be your own friends. You don't feel like, this is not throwing somebody under the bus.
No.
This is safety,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
I don't even know how to close this. I'll be honest with you. My advice is, no guns. It's a solution, right?
Right.
No guns is a solution, but probably, please, 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 see something, say something. I had no idea about the concealed and unconcealed. I'm learning also through here, something I can share with my own students as well. Is just keep your eye open and understand this little laws and rules. Because I'm walking around thinking you are the only two that's supposed to be carrying. I have no idea.
It's supposed to. Yeah.
Right. So thank you once again. This has been great for my parents. Again, this is one that you definitely need to share with your friends. Join us next time again on Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. We still, I'm going to still do my best to provide all the necessary information. Once again, we're empowering minds, one episode at a time. Don't drink, please, my dear students. Don't drink. It costs too much money. But I say don't drink beer, live beer. Balance, eat well, exercise, and rest. Is how
Good,
I close
good.
my show. So
Yes, sir.
once again, thanks, Chief Walker.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate
It's
it.
an honor. Yes, sir.
Chief Darrell, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chief Darrell is actually helping us with the cameras today, so we appreciate it. Thanks, Chief Darrell.
All right.
All right.